Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV Originals Podcast. It's me, Chris Pajak, Steve Hall, Chloe Bloxham and Peter Kenny Jones joining me for this one. We've got quite a lot to discuss on today's show. First of all, we'll be discussing Trent Alexander-Arnold and his England midfield experiment that Gareth Southgate's got going on, and then we're going to be talking Liverpool squad in the second part of the show. We've got our teams that we would all pick day one, and we've got our top three signings by position as well to discuss. Before we get into it though, we have got some tickets to our Dundee live show on sale now, skiddle.com. You can check the socials for links, but if you just go to skiddle.com and you check out the Redmen TV, it is Thursday the 10th of October. It will be us, it will be Keogh bringing Scotland's biggest party on the 10th of October. And before we do get into the Trent Alexander-Arnold discussion, there's just enough time to get yourself some restaurant quality food at supermarket prices with our partners today, HelloFresh. Big thank you to HelloFresh, who are obviously sponsoring this podcast. We've got an incredible offer to extend to all of our Redmen TV viewers. And HelloFresh is saying that you can get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 boxes. And if that wasn't enough, free desserts for life. Free desserts for life. Yes, use the code REDMEN6020. That's REDMEN 6020. Right, while that chicken is cooking, it's nicely in there. It's got salt and pepper on it, of course. Got a bit of time to say about this catch and cook game. So you have to be a active HelloFresh customer. Normally you're allowed to pause and cancel and stop whenever you want. It really is flexible, as I mentioned before. But you do have to be active for this one. And essentially it's a game whereby you pick a dish featured on the HelloFresh menu that week, and then you have to create it in the game. So you catch ingredients, plus you can get instant prizes as well to complete your dish. If you can play weekly, you can complete 4 dishes in 4 weeks. You do actually have that chance to win the culinary trip to New York City. So this is an added extra to what you normally get or what you've got in the past. And this is for Redmen TV viewers as well. So all you have to do for that one is scan the QR code on the leaflet in your box, and you will be able to play this catch and cook game. Okay, we'll just serve up one of the 2 meals now. It's really nice. I used to manage a Mexican restaurant, and that's pretty good. That. Get involved in that QR code. It's on the screen. The Redmen code is REDMEN6020. That's REDMEN 6020 for 60% off and 20% off your next two months, and those free desserts. Get involved in the catch and cook game as well. It's good fun for a start, and you can win some really sort of nice prizes and stuff as well. Thank you very much. Enjoy. See, it's that easy. I just stood up, I cooked you a load of stuff, and I told you where you can get it from. Big thank you to our partners, HelloFresh. We are going to be talking Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. So he played for England last night. I'm sure you were glued to your screen as they beat Serbia 1-0 in their first Euros 2024 match. I think the interesting thing for me here, Steve, is that it really is interesting for us to watch Trent Alexander-Arnold, because we haven't seen him in centre mid, not in the way that Gareth Southgate's playing him at the moment. And Arne Slot will be looking at this as well, thinking, how will this affect Liverpool?
Yeah, well, my guess is he already knows what he wants to do with Alexander-Arnold, and if it is putting him in midfield, it's almost like a controlled experiment on someone else's watch. Because if Trent absolutely bombs it and just looks like a complete fish out of water, then maybe that gets Arne Slot back to the drawing board, and vice versa if he plays well, give another option. Or it's just a massive hindrance because Slot wants to play him at right back. We just don't know yet. There's too much ambiguity with it. But my overriding thing on the Trent thing is that I just hope he doesn't become the lad who's the lightning rod, because it feels to me like that's already starting to be the case a little bit. If England do poorly, there's always someone to blame. And again, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a single second of it. But from looking on socials last night and this morning, it was a lot of Trent stuff, a lot of Phil Foden stuff, and it just feels like someone always wants someone to blame. And my worry would be if he doesn't perform well, and I don't know if he will or not, then does that carry over into next season? Because he wouldn't be the first man who, the England backlash is impacting going into the season. So made up for him that he's playing in the Euros. I think he's certainly talented enough, and his stature deserves to be playing on the major tournaments. But yeah, I just hope it goes well for him.
No, and that's it. I suppose Chloe, Steve mentioned some interesting things there, but like, it doesn't look like he's a centre mid yet, does he? And Arne Slot's going to want to take this Liverpool side and improve them and get them up the league. And throwing a lad in there who hasn't really played centre midfield through the entirety of his adult life, it just seems like a massive risk at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, especially when, the greatest Liverpool sides that have been in my lifetime have had Trent Alexander-Arnold as a right back, where he has more space, he has the game in front of him, and he can pick the passes. And actually, in the friendlies before the Euros, England, when Trent Alexander-Arnold moved to right back in the games and transitioned, that's where he was the most influential. That's where he got the goal. That's where he got the assists. But I also think it's really hard to kind of analyse him and have a go at him, or try and pick apart his performances when he's playing in midfield for England, because, like I mentioned before, you get so little time to work on that with your manager because it's international football. Like, Gareth Southgate's had 2 weeks to tell him exactly what he wants from Trent in that position, and Trent's now just got to go and do it. Where with Arne Slot, he gets a pre-season, he then gets constantly coached. If something's not working week to week, there's something to work on, and he's got the time and the one-to-one and the analysis and everything there and the data to really help him improve. Where in international tournaments, they're over in a month's time, so it's not like you can actually embed yourself and then improve it. You've got to be brilliant there and then. So I don't really want to criticise Trent as much, because I just feel like he's took on a role and he's not got the best kind of stability around him or environment to improve, because in 2-3 weeks time England might be out of the competition altogether anyway, and
that's the end of the experiment, as it were. Peter, is it probably one of the most important things that Slot has to do heading into the season is decide quickly what he wants to do with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and everything else can sort of follow suit?
Well, yeah, he's probably the best in the world at what he does, which is passing it from that right flank. But obviously Kevin De Bruyne's the obvious other person who can be compared to him, but his passing there is just unrivaled in my opinion. And I was looking at the average positions for last night, sorry to go Mr. Statman on you, well, but he was like right wing, he wasn't centre mid at all. So and when it started off, he looked like he was kind of a right wing back as well. So it's interesting to know what they're doing, because Gareth Southgate's a bit boring. I think no one's going to have an argument with me on that. I think it looked like they were trying to win the game early, and then Trent was quite wide, but then as soon as the game went a bit more, they were trying to hold on to the win, maybe went a bit more central. But yeah, his average position was pretty much right wing, which I thought again was interesting, that how much everyone's made out the fact he was centre mid when really he was maybe just probably a bit more advanced than he normally is, which seems to be that people don't trust him defensively. The stuff that Roy Keane and Gary Neville were saying about him the other day, as if he's like a liability. And as you said, he's won everything by the age of 24. He's our vice captain, and somehow he's a liability at international level when he probably knows more than 90% of the people in the Euros, never mind the England team.
Well, the captain certainly hasn't won as many trophies, hasn't, that's for sure. I've got the pass map up now as well with the average positions and stuff, so you can have a little look at what Peter's talking about there. And obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold is that number 8 there, which is obviously heavily favoured to that right hand side, further up maybe alongside Harry Kane. I think the big thing that I noted from this, Peter, is that most of his passes went backwards, and that's an interesting thing, and very much not Trent Alexander-Arnold as well.
Yeah, well, it's because he's never played there, as you said, in his adult life. I think it was Pep Linders said, I think it was the interview with yourself, saying it was him trying to make him in the box midfield, trying to make him more attacking with that Arsenal game, not last season, the season before, when they changed everything. And obviously that's the only real time he's been more central, but even then he's still a right back. So for him to play here, he hasn't played in this position, so he's used to seeing the whole pitch in front of him, but now he's got people on his back and round the corner. And I'm sure, as you say, if Slot wants to do that with him and he gets a full summer, gets weeks and months to train him, he'll be better at it. But yeah, I think maybe the pressure and having people around him meant he had to go back a lot more.
I think as well, if you're going to put him in midfield, and there's certainly a viable option, I don't think you want him that close to goal anyway from that map. Because what you're going to do, you'll have one person in front of him, usually the centre forward, and that's the only person he can find. Trent's best attribute is he can find anyone from anywhere. I think he's got to be deeper. So again, looking at the brief highlights I saw, I watched one of those all touches compilations on the match, and we were speaking about them today. A lot of it, he does get the ball quite high up the pitch, and it's like, well, he has to go backwards because there's only Harry Kane, and he isn't really up front. Harry Kane, he drops deep himself. So if I'm playing Trent in midfield, for example, if you're Arne Slot and if he sticks with this 4-2-3-1, Trent as a double pivot makes more sense than like this role where he's got Declan Rice behind him and then him and Jude Bellingham up further advanced. I just don't think that's the idea for me, because you're taking away his best asset, which is in space and then picking the right pass all the time. And his best passes are always 40-yard Hollywood balls to the left-hand side. He's really good at those little 5-yard ones into the striker's feet or into his winger's feet, and you do take that away from him. So Chloe's right. It's a big call from the England manager actually to go into a tournament in such a crucial position, rather with a guy who's never done it before. And it'd be interesting to see if Slot does the same. Like, the one thing Slot will probably get more of is time. So I think if Slot comes out and goes, listen, Trent's going to be a midfielder, I think we'd all have to accept the fact that there would be teething problems, growing pains, and that it's not going to be perfect straight away. England haven't really got that. England are there to win the Euros now. There's no time for that. So I think it would probably be easier for Arne Slot, like Chloe says. And therefore, like I say, this might benefit us in the long run. That if Trent's got an extra 6 weeks of just being in that position and working things out for himself, it might be a benefit to Liverpool, but only if it goes well. Because if it goes poorly, his confidence could be shot.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it, Chloe, is that this is probably the most scrutinised player in football at the moment, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it's just too much.
Yeah, and you've just mentioned the backwards passing there. Maybe it's like, look, I think Trent does back himself, but you had less than 24 hours before kick-off, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, all of these pundits absolutely going in on a lad. Wayne Rooney going in on a lad, saying he's a liability, he can't play centre mid there. And it's like, when going into that game, maybe he doesn't want to do these first time passes, the passes that we see where he does from right back, because it's a higher risk that you lose the ball. And if he loses that ball in this England side, you know it's going to be on a compilation on BBC or ITV at full time when you analyse that Trent, because that is all they're bothered about right now. He is the one that they do pick out, and maybe it is because he's so good, because I don't understand how anyone can sit here and say that you don't need Trent Alexander-Arnold on a pitch, because he is the most influential player. Jude Bellingham's there as well, I agree with that. But in terms of passing, no one in that England side can do what Trent can do. No one in world football, aside from your likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Toni Kroos, can do what Trent Alexander-Arnold can do. And I also would like to say, England were poor. Aside from 25 minutes where I thought, oh my God, could be 2 or 3 this, they were really poor. Harry Kane was possibly the worst player on the pitch. Phil Foden, the other outlet, was absolutely crap. Saka got an assist that obviously took a deflection, but aside from that, wasn't in the game.
The commentary on it was like, oh, he whipped a great ball in and all this. It's like, he deflected, and then
it's a bullet,
when they realised it was a deflection, they started going on, but the timing of the cross was brilliant. And I'm like, it was a deflected cross. Like.
But this is the thing. If actually all of those, if Harry Kane, instead of coming short every option, you know, and look, he doesn't run in behind, but if he can just be a bit more of a vocal point, and maybe running behind and then cut back and give the ball to your likes of your Phil Fodens, your Sakas, then maybe Trent would have a better game. But everything in front of him was right in front of him, and the 2 wide players weren't great at all, and Harry Kane hardly touched the ball. So when you're actually analysing Trent being effective going forward, they scored 1 goal. England scored 1 goal and weren't that effective outside of the 25 minutes. In fact, Serbia had more shots than them. So, you know, I can't nitpick a lad who's gave an average performance when half of them were below average.
I thought he was all right, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say anyone was particularly standout for me, Peter. I think, you know what, in fact, I want to talk about it now. There were some positives and there was definitely some negatives from Trent in the middle. If we start with the negatives this time around, for me, it was that clear one where Serbia ended up having a shot in the first half, where I think it's Gay, isn't it, where he passes the ball into him. Back to goal's the important point Chloe mentioned, because it's something we as Liverpool fans have always wondered, how is he with his back to goal in a congested area in the centre midfield? And he didn't look great at it, did he?
Well, in that instant, yeah, but he would have got the ball a lot more times than that, just because obviously it picks up that moment. But obviously, if if they score from that, then that's all you need to say the experiment doesn't work, don't play him there again. So yeah, but as we said before, he's learning on the job, isn't he? He hasn't played there before. The last time he played there, other than for England, he was probably a 17-year-old in the academy with 5 people watching him. So this is huge, as you say, the pressure, never mind the fact that he doesn't really know what he's doing. Obviously much better than I ever was in that position, but you know what I mean? He doesn't have the full experience there. So yeah, maybe in that front it didn't work, but as you said, that's the risk that Southgate's gone, whether it's a player against Serbia, Slovakia, and whoever the other group game is, and then just say, we'll see how it goes, and then maybe he brings in a Gallagher who he brought on and just try and make it more stable in the knockout rounds. But yeah, it's an audition for him. I don't think he failed or necessarily passed, but I think he was better than he was bad type thing. So I think it's definitely worth trying again for the next game.
Well, what are the positives then, Chloe, for you out of his performance last night?
I thought the first 25 minutes, the link up on that right-hand side was really good. You know, you had Declan Rice who was there as extra coverage, which means, like you said, he can go a bit forward. I enjoyed specifically the reading of the game when I think Kyle Walker should either score or get an assist.
Well, I don't know how Harry Kane didn't get into the box for that one. It was
I've got no idea either. But he reads the play and he slides, he intercepts it, and they're away instantly. And this is what we talk about when we talk about Trent, is the fact that he's so forward thinking, and that's really hard to stop. And like, it's not great as a right back in terms of his first thing isn't defensively, it's if this ball bounces here, wonderful, I'm going to position myself higher up the pitch. And he did that a couple of times, which really benefited England. It meant they won the ball back high up the pitch, and they were away. They didn't capitalise from it. Also, some of his ranges of passing was good. He wasn't always on it, but I thought he was sound on the ball.
To Saka that was absolutely on
delightful.
Point, wasn't
he's always on for the switch as well, and maybe if Foden was playing a little bit better, maybe they get something out of that. But I thought he was sound. The best compliment you can give him is the fact that, like, although, like we've mentioned, he wasn't superb in there, he also wasn't the main problem in this England side, and that's talking about a player who's out of position right now, is learning on the job, and is his first game really playing in competitive football as a centre mid for England. So yeah, he was sound. It was when they lost control of the game and they brought Conor Gallagher on, I could totally understand why. But I watched Conor Gallagher and really didn't think he controlled the game a lot more. I thought Serbia was still
10
dominant.
minutes before he was substituted, Trent was the one telling people, calm down, keep the ball. They actually lost a little bit of leadership in that regard. But one of the things that I find always really interesting when you talk about Trent is, one of the things that's always brought up is, like, whether you should just simply put him in the middle of the park, or whether as you said before, he's just so effective out of the centre, out of the melee, that's the thing. I mean, for me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Steve, but like, putting him into the middle of the park there, where you've got Declan Rice and you've got a Jude Bellingham, who is the focal point of the centre of midfield. He is going to be the one who takes the ball forwards. He's going to be the one who's looking to pick somebody out. You're asking him to almost play second fiddle to someone, or just keep the ball moving. Trent can keep the ball moving, but you lose what makes him great. What makes him great is playing in space and being able to see, as you said before, any pass at any point, surely. Yeah, but then also Kyle Walker's that good. So I'm not sure he is. I think he is. I think he's really fast. And because of that, he comes across like he's dead good. He makes some fucking stupid decisions and mistakes. Absolutely. His touch is shite at times. He's a great defender. When you dominate the ball like the first 30 minutes or something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those where
just quick as fuck.
I think in tournament football, that's fine to be defensive at the back. It just looks to me like he's just gone, here's my best 11 players, I'm going to try and get them all on the pitch at the same time, and that means there's 2 lads out of position. I don't think Phil Foden should be playing left wing. I wouldn't think
Trippier should not be playing left.
Well, he's in. That's everyone else is injured, I suppose.
He's got no left foot though.
I'm sure. I'll be honest. And my worry, go back to the Liverpool thing on the Trent thing, is that England don't play like Liverpool. Well, I don't think this is what Arne Slot's going to play like. So if we're trying to get clues of what if Trent can play centre mid for Liverpool going forward, that's all I care about. I'm going to fuck either way. Whoever wins the Euros, good luck to them. But I imagine if Liverpool play centre with Trent in midfield, the centre forward will not be someone coming right back in like Harry Kane does. They'll be going the other way. Yeah. The reason you'd want Trent going in midfield is to pick those 3 runners out, whether it's Diaz or Jota or Gakpo on the left, and Nunes or Jota, and then you got Salah on the right. Trent on the ball, and they need to be going that way, and I think you'd see the best of them. So for me, I went back to before, it's like, opening questions, like, is this good for Liverpool? Maybe, but I think it's more along the lines of what Pete said before, like, when he makes that mistake, don't do it again. So now if he learns on the job with your back to goal, don't fanny about with it, basically, then that could bode well for Liverpool. But I don't think we're going to get to see what Trent can really do in the midfield when the players in front of him are all coming towards him. I don't think you're right, that doesn't benefit him whatsoever. That his job there would be to just give it to Jude Bellingham and let him run. And that's a great plan, by the way, for England, because Jude Bellingham was fantastic. But Liverpool aren't going to do that. If he's playing centre mid for Liverpool, you're right, he'll be the man. He'll be the Trent Alexander-Arnold show. I don't think we're going to learn anything in the Euros about that. I don't think Arne Slot's going to learn anything about that, because it's just his best attribute, is his ability to pick those passes out. And if he's just playing 5-yard passes, I could understand really playing a Conor Gallagher. I could understand playing a more defensive-minded player, because they're probably going to give you what you're after. That's what I don't quite understand. And listen, with the Southgate thing, he keeps saying I want Trent in because he's the best passer, but then all the strikers are coming towards him. You don't have to be a great passer to do that. The best passers will be if Saka's going that way and Foden's going that way and Harry Kane's on the shoulder, then I think you would see it. So I don't know too much what we're going to learn, other than the fact that hopefully he can make his mistakes on their watch, you know what I mean, and get them out of his game. And the next time he plays centre mid for Liverpool and the centre back rolls it into him, he knows, all right, then check my shoulders, be a bit more spatial awareness. I hope he can learn that, but I'm not quite sure what we see in this summer, no matter what happens, whether he plays well or they win it, is going to translate to what Liverpool are going to do next year.
Yeah, the pass in the second half, I think it was, where Saka is one-on-one with the defender, and the swerve on it, it's right into the path of Saka to run onto, and he doesn't win
from deep, from just on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And it's not a high one, it's like across.
It's a driver in goal for him.
And that was a really good pass. I don't think Saka did absolutely anything with the ball, but he had a shot before coming off where it swerves a little, keeper makes a bit of a hash out of it, but he found himself on the edge of the box. The problem I have with this is that it is so easy for Gareth Southgate to just instantly pull him out of that side because of the noise. And Gareth Southgate, he's mentioned, I did watch a little interview that he did, and he was like, it's actually, you just need to quiet the noise. We don't care about the outside noise, and I hope he doesn't, because the other thing you've got to point at is, against a more attacking side, yes, you might be more open because Trent's in midfield, but my word, they'll be more open as well. If they're going to press you and you get Trent in a little bit of space and he looks up and there's more space there for him, he's the one who's going to pick that pass out, who's going to absolutely unlock like a French side who are brave. So I hope that Gareth Southgate doesn't crap himself and just instantly pull Trent Alexander-Arnold out of the lineup because of the noise around it. You've got to back the lad if you're going with him, and I hope he does do that.
I actually think that's one thing that Southgate's good at. I think he does ignore the noise to an extent. I think we saw that with the teams he's picked, with the squads he's picked. He's not been that bothered before, you know what I mean? It would have been easy to take Jack Grealish and easy to take James Maddison and leave out an Eze and leave out, Jared Bowen. So I think he's actually got the bollocks to do it. My worry...
got bollocks just to play centre midfield.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My worry is that if it goes badly, and listen, it's on the fence, it could go badly for him. I've seen, and we've all seen it, us especially a little bit older than Chloe, we've seen players come back from England duty who have had poor tournaments, and it's definitely affected them going into the next season. They've been hammered by the press, they've been hammered by the fans, they go to away grounds and they're getting booed. We saw it a couple of years ago with with Sacco and Sancho and Rashford missing those penalties, and I think for a while you could tell it was playing on them. Even before that, you go back, Southgate himself said it. That's my worry, is that I know Trent is so mentally tough and so mentally strong, and I get that, and he's had to be throughout his career, but if England don't win this, someone comes back as public enemy number one.
Oh yeah.
No, it's him.
And if it's him,
or it could be
if it's him, he might just want to get out of it, and that's the worst thing that can possibly happen, isn't it, Peter? Because you're thinking Real Madrid and Jude Bellingham will be happy to snap him up.
Yeah, well, they got that little celebration now and everything.
It's just him and it. They need to fucking break up, them two. For my mental health.
It was great like 2 years ago, wasn't it? Because we were like, oh yeah, he's coming, but now Jude settled.
Isn't it boss that sentence?
No,
the best mate, and we're like,
yeah, Henderson, the third one as well.
No, and now we're like, for God's sake, someone drive a wedge between
to each other. Yeah, but the only thing I wanted to say as well, Southgate said after that Trent had what his job, which was like doing the defensive work for Jude Bellingham.
He talked about his positioning, really good.
And he said defensive positioning was good, and he was like the anchor type thing to Bellingham. So again, it's interesting how everyone's making so much about this more attacking switch, but the thing he was most pleased with was his defensive work. So, you know, obviously maybe that was his best part of the game yesterday, was
you
how
mentioned
good he
discipline,
was.
didn't he?
Yeah. So strangely, the lad who's played right back all his career is quite good at defending, is what we found out yesterday by playing him centre mid.
Shock. I'm going to go straight back to what we all think, I think, is Arne Slot's formation is 4-2-3-1. Of course, Jurgen Klopp's formation was 4-2-3-1 for 14 years before he came to Liverpool Football Club. And I remember doing videos at the time of 4-2-3-1, what it will look like with Liverpool and all that type of stuff. It very quickly changed to a 4-3-3. I think the people that we're talking to outside of, you know, Slot and Feyenoord do think he's a 4-2-3-1 guy. There's still the chance, obviously, that he plays a 4-3-3. Bringing it back to Trent, Peter, if Trent moves into the middle in either formation, what are the differences for you in him playing an 8 like he did for England, and as part of it, probably a 2, because he ain't the 10, I suppose, in a 4-2-3-1?
Well, no idea is what the answer. Everyone's answer is, because we haven't really seen it. Obviously, we're kind of watching it now with England, but as we said before, he wasn't really playing in the middle of the pitch. But I think we lose that. Liverpool are better than England in that we have more of the ball, have more chances, more attacking. So I think when you got so much possession, it really helps having Trent out there, because he's doing less defensively maybe, but also every time he's got the ball, the whole pitch is just that way in front of him. And as you say, that pass to Nunes where he chips it over the top, he switches it across, puts it down the line, the centre mid. I think you lose that a bit, and that he's not going to have the full pitch to pick from. But at the same time, he's got
on an ice cream on this time. It's just Toffee TV celebrating a goal for somebody. I have no idea who. Apologies there.
Romania have took the lead.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Totally just like my Trent assessment, that was fine. But yeah,
wasn't that good?
But yeah, I think playing Trent in centre mid, you'd lose his like full radar of passes. You could add the fact that he's further up. You know, we don't really get to see him have too many shots, whatever. So it could be better in the long run. But you haven't asked me this question, but I'd still play him right back if it was up to me. And from what we hear of what Slot may do, you might still make him inverted again, and we already know that works. But I think because of how much possession and chances we used to have, hopefully still do have next season, I'd keep him in that right back position just because I think it's better for his game.
I think we saw Chris when there's a couple of times when Liverpool used it as like a break glass, and he did go, and he probably was more of an 8. That goal against Fulham when he, you know, the early on in the season, and he's effectively playing as an 8. I think in that type of game it's fine when you camped on the edge of the other team's box. It goes back to what Peter before. I keep going back to it. You just don't want to back to goal too much. You're just taking away all his best assets, his passing and his shooting ability and his ball playing ability. You just lose it the second he's facing the other way, really. So if Slot is going to put him in midfield, for me, I don't think he's a lone 6. I think that's just asking way too much of him. I think the only way you could see it happening is if he's one of those two. I can't see a world where Slot goes, right, we're playing 4-3-3 and 10 and 8. A, there's too many other 8s. And B, I just think you are right. If Liverpool are going to have all of the ball, those 10s, if you look at when they get the ball most often, it's into their feet and then they're on the half turn, then they've got to go. It's what Jones is good at, it's what Elliott's good at, it's what McAllister's good at. We saw glimpses of Gravenberch getting good at it, and Szoboszlai getting good at it. I just think what's the point? In that case, play at right back. And listen, is he going to be coupled for a couple of goals sometimes? Yeah, he probably will be. But will he help you score more? Yeah, he probably will do as well. So I think if Slot's going to play him in midfield, and we obviously, again, it's pure speculation, I think it would have to be in the 2 next to a McAllister or Endo, Bercheta during a signing. I don't think I wouldn't be comfortable as Liverpool fan putting him in the position that I think it looks like he played for England in yesterday. I just think it's different for England because you're in the main man. Again, Bellingham and Kane are the main man, maybe Saka to an extent. They probably want Foden to be that. I still think Liverpool will want Trent to be the man who the play goes through. So get him in a position where he can get on the ball more. Yeah, one final question on this before we move on to part 2 and talk about signings and formations for Liverpool a little bit more. If he were to play centre midfield, Chloe, I know it's an incredibly difficult one, but how long do you think it would take him to master it? Is it 6 months, a year, longer? I
see. He's got everything there to be a world-class midfielder. It's just the problem is with our system, like we've just mentioned there, if he's a number 8, and he's got less defensive, kind of demands that he has to do, then I think easily does that 3-4 months. Right now, in that double pivot, you've got, if I'm going to put Maka there and say you put Trent there, you don't have an out-and-out DM, a player who's more defensive, and that would worry me a little bit, because we were so easy to play through last season. We were so easy to play through the season before, and the problem is that if Maka was brilliant and he adapted to the role, but he's still not defensive enough to be as a one for me.
He's easy to run off and run past.
And I feel like you'd get the same with Trent. But in terms of positions on a football pitch and being a dictator, I think he'd be absolutely superb there. And I think he's got the passing range, he's got the vision, he's got all of that. It's just your awareness that he needs to be a bit more. And look, I didn't see, I saw obviously the one where he loses the ball, but I don't remember how many times he checked his shoulder or he analysed the pitch.
You look at Rodri. It was a missed touch, which is so unusual for him anyway.
But you look at the likes of Rodri, you look at Declan Rice, you look at all these unbelievable midfield players, and every 2 minutes, every 2 seconds, they're scanning the pitch. They're making sure that they see the full picture, and he does that when there's a football. Like he can instantly do it when it's in front of him. It's like he just instantly knows where everyone will be with his back to goal. You've got to get used to it. I reckon 6 to 12 months, and I reckon he'd be.
I think that's about
brilliant.
right. I mean, listen, when Fabinho came in, it took him 6 months.
Yeah.
He was a DM learning to be a DM in a Klopp system, and that's Trent had 5 years of playing right back. And when he was playing in midfield, he was playing as a 6 for Pep Linders anyway. He wasn't even playing the 8. So this is could potentially be a huge period of adaptation for him.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask of him. Obviously, you said before he's one of our main men. He's who the play goes through, so it's a big ask to then just try and lose that and change everything. That's why I said I'd still play him right back. I don't see what the point is. It's not like he's playing horrifically, though he's playing really well where he is. But if you do have to do it, I think he did it earlier in the season as well, where he drops in between the two centre-backs almost as deep as Fabinho was starting it, but then having the full pitch. Or maybe
we did that against Aston Villa when we humped them 3-0.
Yeah. And I think obviously Kanate helped him right back, and then maybe if you've got an actual right back there as well, there's more cover, and say it's Bradley and Robbo getting up, and then you've still got 3 at the back, and you've got the whole play going forward. But again, that's not what we expect. Maybe Slot might play, but that would probably work best for Trent, where, as you said, then he is a 6, and he'd still need a lot of people around him to help him through it. As you say, it's going to take 6 months to a year till he is an expert there, but I think that's the most likely position he could play, because he's still got the majority of the pitch to look at and play those balls that we know he can play.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what top 3 signings by position we'd all make. We're also talking our teams day 1 of the season as it is now, the squad. So we'll be back very shortly. Liverpool supporters of Scotland, we are heading your way. It is a new era for Liverpool Football Club, and to celebrate, we're heading on the road with our very own new era tour, trademark pending, and this time we're heading up to Scotland for the very first time. On Thursday, the 10th of October, we'll be live on stage at Duck Slattery's, no idea, with a show filled with laughs, cheers, and our usual Redmen TV nonsense. Not only that, but the brilliant Keogh will be performing too, belting out the best of Liverpool anthems to get you up, singing and dancing with us. If you'd like to attend, tickets are on sale now. Head to skiddle.com, search the Redmen TV, and get along to our very first show north of the border.
Yeah, no problemo.
Come on, I do the claps.
Oh yeah. Jürgen, thank you so much for taking the time.
Welcome. No, actually, I am open. We can speak about absolutely everything. One of my absolutely favorite stories of all time, why referees as bad as they are. I lost more championship fights than other people play. Well, it's a crazy way to describe a career. It was the most touching moment I ever had in a football stadium. Penalty, handball. Winning the league is but that's not my fault. I'm really happy I didn't get a stroke in that moment. But it was absolutely insane. I mean, that's the cheekiest thing I ever saw in my life. So.
Okay, welcome back. Nobody saw me doing a one on the cartwheel there at all. Nobody mentioned it. Thank you very much in the comment section. Much appreciated. We are going to be talking about transfers. We're going to be talking about Liverpool's side, as I mentioned before. The window It officially slams shut. How does it open? Because it opened on Friday with a whimper. It's definitely opened with a whimper this time.
It was me checking on the kids if they're asleep. You know, just a little quiet little nod in. Don't stand on a toy. Don't wake them up. Just
knowing which ones are the creaky floorboards.
I'm an expert at that. Yeah. Which one's more likely to have put a squeaky toy behind the door or something? Yeah. So it was more a gentle pushing ajar, maybe.
It's like when you like leave it on the latch, but you don't fully close it, and the wind just sways it slightly open and then closed and open again.
And that's what's happened. That is literally what's happened this weekend. The transfer window opened on Friday. No real transfer links that I think I've got loads and loads about them at the moment. When do you think it is going to ramp up? Because I feel like myself, I'm starting to get itchy feet here. Like, I'm moving on through the summer, and yet the days aren't really changing very quickly at the moment.
Probably after this Euros, to be honest with you. All the best players in the world, or most of them, are either in the Euros or on Copa America duty. So I think it's going to be really difficult, unless you, like say, we saw the links to like Lenny Yoro, where it's a young player or someone like that who's not there or something. I think it's going to be really tough for anybody when the whole world's at the Euros, all the best players across the continent are on two different international tournaments. Plus, by the way, we've had Endo and the Asia World Cup qualifiers are happening. Other teams are everywhere. So I still think this could be a very quiet one until the end of July, and then I think it's going to go mad. I think it's going to go really mad. There'll be one or two moves.
I'm on holiday then. That's absolutely superb.
There'll be one or two moves that like get the ball rolling, and then everything will come off the back of that. But it isn't just a Liverpool thing. It's an everybody thing.
Apart from Chelsea.
But again,
and a bit of Villa.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. But then there's not like major happening just yet. So yeah, I'm guessing. I still think a lot of the stories we're hearing, there probably are. There's some truths in them, but yeah, you're probably looking at the end of the month before you start end of next month rather, where you start thinking actual leans at the axe and deals getting done, I would guess.
Okay, Chloe, what's your general opinion of Liverpool's squad right now and the depth that we've got? Because we always focus on we need this, we need that, we need this, but like, how are we actually feeling about Liverpool's squad?
I like it. I think it's got a lot of potential in there. It's got some really good players who we saw sparks of last season. We need to see it more consistently, but there's a lot for Arne Slot to work with. I mean, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, who would want to try and come and follow Jurgen Klopp? Well, a lad who looks at that squad and thinks, my God, I've got world-class footballers here, and I've got, potential world-class footballers there as well. You like your Sobbers. I mean, McAllister's already incredible, but he's still young enough that he can improve. I think Arne Slot's got a striker there who, if he takes under his wing, he can make boss, but equally so if it doesn't go well, that's a bit of a problem for him. But I think there's just a lot to work with at Liverpool. We did an entire rebuild of the midfield, so it's not like anyone's coming in and having to do loads of work. There'll be areas where Liverpool need to improve, and rightfully so. First of all, just get tactically that correct. If you can improve this team defensively tactically before you do anything, then that's a really good foundation. But I think any manager should be licking their lips before coming to Anfield to work with that group of players. And we know we've got a budget there. We saw a 110 mil bid people on Casado, and we ended up with Enzo instead. So we know there's money there to invest in the positions that we really need. So I'm positively looking at it. I'm just excited to see hopefully a new formation, a new style of football, and a new way to play. And
there's nothing we can do with that, Peter. Is just wait. We've got to wait until Arne Slot comes in, and we'll see the formation, everything else. And I've said this for years, right? When we signed Fabinho, I think it was Bury away in a pre-season game. It was one of those Northwest games, and he dropped in between the centre halves. And I was in the stands. I was recording it. And I was like, oh God, we're completely changing the way the defensive midfielder is. I'm writing a stats show and tactics show in my head about it. I've got video clips of him dropping in between the centre halves. And I'm down on the pitch with all the journos after the game, and Klopp comes to do a little chat. And I'm never one to ask the questions, but I'll always stick the mic in or whatever. And one of them asked him about Fabinho, and he went, oh no, did that completely wrong. That is not how we want our DM to play. And I was like, okay, well, I won't be doing that show. And these are things, even when you get to see Arne Slot manage Liverpool, it ain't going to be perfect. perfect from day one. We do have to kind of ride it out, and it will just be interesting, won't it? In terms of football and philosophy, this promises to be the most interesting in 10 years.
Yeah, but we haven't seen a change like this, as you said, since Klopp came in, and then it's just, yeah, it's exciting, I suppose, is how we should look at it, in that a lot's going to change, but you'd also be stupid to change too much. So we could, again, say all this, expect everything. It could be 4-3-3. We try and keep the ball with it back quick with a high press, and that's pretty much what we've seen the last 10 years anyway. And, you know, you would be slightly stupid to change too much. I think what Slot could do best is not sign too many people, not make many massive formation changes, and just try and keep it going as it was, and obviously add his little twists in there, whatever he wants to do. But, you know, if you're coming in day one and try and change everything, you're going to lose more people than you're going to get on board. So I think the thing is to try and keep it as it was, and then subtly change things as and when it's needed.
And this isn't just the first team, Steve. Klopp's fingerprints are all over the football club, from the under 10s, 11s. They're all playing exactly the same way and have done for 9 odd years now, haven't they? I mean, even just a subtle thing like a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1 in what you're asking the players to do in that. I'll give you an example, Steve. In Arne Slot's Feyenoord team, the right winger and the left winger drop in as a 4-4-2 defensively. That ain't Salah. It's just not. Like, so it might be just the simple thing to keep it as a 4-3-3 and ask them to press with 3 up front instead of the 10 becoming a forward, like Slot's Feyenoord side, and pressing with the 2.
It's also worth mentioning, like, did he want to play 4-2-3-1, or did he just think that was the best way to be the Feyenoord manager? Because it's different, you know. Like, Feyenoord's obviously a big team, but they were, you know, when they won the league, it was against the odds. It was an unlikely league win. Even at AZ, it was pretty similar. So it might just be, and you mentioned earlier in the show, Chris Jürgen walked in and just went 4-3-3 because you have better players, potentially better players, or just different things work. So we just don't know, and that's the beauty of all this. It's all to be found out. The proof will be in the pudding later on. To go back to your first question, I think it's a very, very good Liverpool squad that Jürgen's left, and all these guys have left for Arne Slot, Michael Edwards, etc. to come and take the reins of. There's obviously little bits of improvement, because if there wasn't, Liverpool would be sat here as champions, so of course they can get better. But, you know, I think it's not like it's not the squad that Jürgen inherited, where it was clear there were 10 lads you could easily just go bang, see you later, bye. And it took Klopp a couple of seasons to get where it took him to where.
When did he get rid of Markovic? Yeah. I mean, it was a long time. It took him sat there for 5 years, didn't he, Markovic?
It took him a long time to get him what he wants. I don't think that's the case here. There are obviously improvements, which we're going to speak about, and areas of need, but it's a good team. You know, Liverpool finished third on a decent points total, where there is clearly obviously a gap that they're going to try and close. But I don't think it's one of those where usually when a new manager comes in, it's because the other manager was crap or the players were crap, and you need to come in and you need to change the culture and you need to change everything. It won't be that. Now Slot has to be himself, and he can't just try and be a black version of Jürgen Klopp. So he has to believe in what he's teaching, and he has to go with that one. But there aren't too many years go get rid. It's more like, well, you could improve him, or, you know, there's an upgrade there, or do we need some more strength in numbers there? Because Liverpool have got the 3rd best team in the league. There's an argument it might be the 2nd best squad. You know, in terms of pure numbers, in terms of what Liverpool's bench could be when everyone's fit, it's really, really strong. Maybe stronger than Arsenal in terms of sheer number of options. Obviously, you'd argue that their 11 right now is stronger given how they finished the last 2 seasons. But I think I agree with Chloe. If you're Arne Slot, that's why you took the job. You know, this is the difference between like taking over Ferguson's Man United when he milked it to the nth degree and everyone was 35 and their legs were falling off, or when it was, you know, taking over Wenger when it had, unfortunately, the stadium thing had just drained the squad and they were on the last legs.
Yeah, this is a brand new midfield, young players riddled throughout the
squad. And it's also, there's a good mix of ages, so there's good young players, there's lads in their 25 to 28 range, the likes of Diaz and Jota, who are in what you call their prime. You've got the experienced older players like your Van Dijks and your Salahs, so the squad's nearly there. There are some things we're going to speak about, but I think right now we'd all say Liverpool's still probably 3rd. And I don't think the gap to 2nd is that big, really. And then there's a bit more work to do to try and catch City. And I'm not sure how much you could do in one summer to do that anyway. It would be really tough. You'd have to you're going to have to rely on some of the lads you've got getting better and playing well, and then seeing what you can do with it.
Absolutely. We will be talking about that at the end of the show, actually. So, stay tuned for that one. I'm going to bring up the first team then. So, what I asked each of our guests today is, what's your day one starting 11, even if no transfers were made? And obviously everyone being fully fit and available. It's an exercise that you can play in the comments as well, in the YouTube chat, of course. We'll start off with Chloe's team. Chloe, I'd like you to talk us through this if possible.
Yeah, I mean, for me feel like the back five kind of, picked itself. I think Quansah finished the season so strongly. Konate fell off a cliff, really. So I'm backing Quansah to start alongside Virgil van Dijk, and I feel like that's the only big question mark in that back five. I just trust Quansah. I don't have any problems when I hear him in the starting 11. Once again, I think he's in better form, so I'm going to go with him. As for me pivot, me double eight, McAllister had to be one of them. It was that simple. I struggled with the second eight because I just don't know where Stefan Bajcetic is up to right now.
He's fully fit and available, Chloe.
Yes, but is he the Stefan Bajcetic from the last couple of games of last season or 2 seasons
Absolutely
ago?
Fully fit and available.
I've gone based on the fact that I'm hoping Stefan Bajcetic is the Bajcetic of the literal one-man midfield that he had to play 2 seasons ago.
The one where he disgraced Fabinho, yeah. Yes. The good one, okay.
So I picked him. It was between... I thought potentially putting Sobbo there because I just in my head pictured maybe Slot doing that, but for me it was not defensive enough, and after me going on about how we've been crap defensively the past 2 seasons, it'd be really rude of me to then just give him lob 2 attacking 8s as me 8. So I went with Stefan. I'm going to back him, and then I chose Gakpo over Diaz because just the form that Gakpo's in right now towards the end of the season, I thought he was really good, and if he can produce what he's producing for Holland for us, then I'll be, and it's the Netherlands, I know Holland's just a little place in it, but if he could do that, I'd be absolutely made up. Salah obviously speaks for itself. I put Sobbo instead of Harvey Elliott just because I'd like to see Sobbo as that number 10. I feel like I know what I get out of Harvey Elliott if I put him there. Sobbo, I'm not really sure, but I'm hoping that he'd do a job there. I would interchange them, but I've gone with Sobbo for this starting 11, and then obviously Jota up top, because if there was one player I could pick to be fit for the rest of the season, it'd be Jota.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, really like that. Interesting, Peter, that Chloe's gone with the 4-2-3-1 as well. Interesting, I suppose, that you went with that 2-man midfield. Obviously, we'll come on to your side next. Do you want to talk us through yours formation and what side you've gone to 1-11?
I'm glad it was on screen. Yeah, well, I think I'd be surprised if the back five is any different for anyone. Endo was okay. Sorry, Endo. I think just because so much is changing, I think he's the most steady player I'd say in the side, and that if we are going to a 4-2-3-1 and there is going to be a lot of transitions and different things are happening, then I just think having Endo there, his experience, I think will help us rather than having a Bajcetic in from day one. I think it's too much pressure on him. McAllister obviously has to play. Salah has to play. I've said the same with Gakpo on the left. And Jota up top was, again, I agree with you, he's fit and available. Jota's arguably one of the best in the league, never mind in our team. The only close thing that he did was putting Salah as number 10 and then maybe putting Diaz in there. I was close to doing it, but I thought it was a bit too crazy.
We had a big discussion about that a couple of weeks ago.
I thought that might work, but I just think he's changing so much. It's risky. So I went for Elliott just because he ended the season so well, and if you go on who deserves it, he deserves to start that season. Like, I was desperate to start the last season for Curtis Jones to play because his last 10 games were so good. It's not his fault that the season ended when he was in good form. I think the same's with Harvey Elliott and probably Cody Gakpo, so that's why they were both in. But I was close, as I say, to putting Salah in the 10 and then maybe giving Diaz on the right and trying that out, which, as I say, I wouldn't be averse to that happening, as you said before. If there's more defensive work for the fullbacks, for the wingers to drop in, then I think that it would suit them better, and having Salah as more of a free role. No,
it's a really good side, isn't it, Ste? And we'll move on to yours and we'll discuss the pros and cons maybe of some of them towards the end. But yeah, if you go with yours formation and for podcast listeners, a 1-11, please.
Yeah, so Alisson's obviously in goal. I've got Trent at right back and Robbo, like everyone else, at the full back positions. Kept Trent there. I think I've gone with Konate still. I think, again, it goes back to your thing of fully fit and available. I'm still not quite convinced Konate was fit. He had that injury in Prague, didn't he? And it just felt like he never quite recovered. And listen, if it's Kwanzaa, I'm absolutely fine. I'm still thinking that Trent's going to be Trent and do the wandering thing and leave it. And I think Konate's still better over in space than Kwanzaa at this moment in time. But I'm splitting hairs on that one. So I'm willing to give Konate one more shot at it because I think the ceiling's probably still a little bit higher, but I'm absolutely fine with Kwanzaa. I think they're both brilliant. I've got Endo as my 8. You know, he's in the wrong position there, but it's fine. Endo as a DM, and then McAllister and Elliott in front of him. I still think I will go 4-3-3. I don't believe Liverpool need to go 4-2-3-1 just yet. Go again. I think Endo is the only natural 6 we've got at the moment. I think Bajcetic was close, but I'm still not actually convinced he's a 6. I'm not sure that he's not an 8. I think actually when I've seen him, he looks like he wants to be someone who's striding with the ball and advancing. I'm not sure he's quite got the defensive discipline to play lone number 6. And I put Harvey Elliott in for the same reason Peter said. I think it's about time. And there are plenty of options there, and all really good players. There's nothing else Harvey Elliott could have done now, I don't think, to have a shot at it from the start. I think we're on the precipice of the fact that he could be really, really special, and I'd like to have a go at it from the start, where he's starting games from the off. He had it a couple of seasons ago before he broke his leg. He was in the team, and unfortunately his season was curtailed with that bad injury at Leeds. But and listen, I'm leaving out some good players. I'm leaving out Szoboszlai there. I've left out who's moved on number 10, Jones and Gravenberch is all good players. And then up front I have put Luis Diaz on the left, Salah on the right, Diogo Jota centre forward. I'm yet to be convinced either with any of the options on. I actually think I'm not quite there with Gakpo or Diaz just yet, but I do believe I like the fact that Diaz I think he gets us up the pitch, and I'm not quite sure Gakpo does that yet. I think Gakpo's really good at holding the ball up, but I think carrying the ball, I think someone in the front needs the ability to do that, and Salah's lost that. Salah doesn't do that no more. Salah doesn't dribble anymore, so that's why I've gone with Diaz. And yeah, it's got Jota, if fit, is number 9 or whatever all day long. Yeah. I think he's fantastic. I've done mine then. My 4-2-3-1 is Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Konate. I've put /Kwanzaa in my notes for this because it's splitting hairs. Van Dijk, Robertson. I've gone with a 2-man midfield of McAllister and Bajcetic. And then I've gone with Salah on the right, Elliott in the 10, Gakpo on the left, and Jota leading the line. And I think you've said a lot of the points, guys, that I would have said. Obviously, you know, Konate, Kwanzaa thing, you echoed it. I'm just not bothered. I could quite happily pick Diaz or Gakpo on the left-hand side as well. Jota or Núñez, I'm not too bothered. I prefer Jota because he finishes his dinner. Elliott, Szoboszlai, it's close, but I think Elliott deserves it and gets the nod from me. What's interesting is every one of us, even after the first part of the show, has picked Trent Alexander-Arnold as a right-back, which just is a bit mad, really, because I think if you were to quiz 100 people online, they'd probably be over 50% would say Trent in the middle of the park. But when you actually put it into a Liverpool side, the 4 of us here have all gone Trent. Not one of us has mentioned Curtis Jones apart from Ste. None of us have picked him in a side. He didn't get close to mine, which is, I like him as well. No Gravenberch, no Diaz for most of us, no Núñez for any of us. Our record signing. Like that without saying anything, tells you a lot, doesn't it, Peter, about some of the performances that he put in last season for us? Yeah. And how much we respect Jota as well, which is obviously a lot of it.
It's more, I think all 5 of them are good. So, like, if any of you to put Núñez and Diaz in, which I didn't, I wouldn't have flipped the table over and said that's a joke. You know, they all deserve to play.
Is there anyone who you would have done that for? Who would you have flipped the table over for? If Kelleher was in goal or something?
Simicast maybe over Robbo. Some people say that, don't they? Maybe Bradley over Trent. That probably some people would think that and putting him in there. But yeah, I think Núñez is the strange one, and probably at this point last year we probably all would have started him because he was going so well. But as you say, I just think his impact off the bench can sometimes be better than the start, and Jota is just probably our best finisher. As I said, one of the best in the league, one of the best Liverpool have had for a long time. So I think that's his competition. But we don't play one game all fit and available. That never ever happens. So we're probably going to be playing the Carabao Cup the week after when he'll start, and then Jota will get injured and he's in for the rest of the season. So, one-off final, yeah, I'd start Jota up front, but Nunes is going to play plenty of games.
This is a fully fit and available side, as Peter's mentioned. It's not going to happen, Steve. Does anyone believe that their side is good enough to win the league?
No.
I think I'm a DM short, if I'm honest. But
I don't think mine is.
No, I don't think it's hard because I think that team can beat anyone. But again, I don't think it's miles off, to be honest with you, because there aren't many opposition who that could come up against and think they're going to get battered. I think they might struggle in certain games. I think, again, against the really bigger teams. But the best team doesn't win the league, because if the best team, it's got to be it's a squad game, isn't it? You've got to be able to have those numbers. But I think my team, if I replaced Endo in my team with a Rodri, for example, I think it would win the league. But you're not going to get that, because that's where we're at. You're going to have to find other ways of doing it. Can I just pick up very quickly on the Trent thing? The only reason you could maybe look at, if you were really desperate to put him in midfield, is to get Conor Bradley on the pitch. Yeah, because Conor Bradley's been awesome. I think it's understandable. But it goes back to the first conversation. I want Trent in space, and Liverpool probably got enough midfield options. But yeah, I think all those teams are good teams. There's no one there where you're thinking that's crap. He's crap. He's absolutely crap. But there are points where you can go, well, is that better than Manchester City, or how does that stack up to what Arsenal have got at the moment in time? And I think it's a fair question to ask. Yeah. What about you, Peter? You sort of went, oh shit.
I think it is good enough to win the league. Yes, if I'm being bold enough. I don't think it's good enough to win the league by 25 points, but I think, as you said, that team beats anyone. And you don't just have 11 players. There's 5 subs to come on there, and you bring in subs like Nunes, whatever, pick any others. We've got so many good players. So I think Endo, maybe you could say, is the worry from my team. But at point to last year, I thought he was superb, and the only reason why he seemed to drop off a bit was that we had to play him so much because we had so many injuries. So I think him with the pre-season, I obviously wouldn't be worried about it because I put him in my team there. I wouldn't be worried about seeing him, and I think we could beat anyone, and that's what Jürgen told us on the way out to back us 100%. So yeah, even if it's just for Jürgen, yeah, we can win the league with that team.
Okay, I'm going to move on then. 3 key positions now for us all to address. It was 3. I decided it was 3. I asked the guys who were their 3 key in order. I'll start with me this time. I went last time. Mine's a left-sided centre-back / left-back, or a centre-back. A backup right winger would be my second. And then I've said DM, depending on a star being available, or a goalkeeper. And the reason that I've quantified it like that, and I didn't give you guys the choice to do that. No apologies. I actually don't think there is a star available. So therefore it's kind of goalkeeper. If there was a Rodri or a Declan Rice or someone of that ilk available, go and get them. I just don't see that there is one right now, which means that it's kind of a goalkeeper, which is a bit shit. But I'm okay with that as well, can I just say? Like, I'm okay with the options that we've got in midfield. Do I think Liverpool need a DM? Yeah, I do. I really do. But that doesn't just mean buy another Endo for a year or 2. It means go out and get someone who's absolutely world class and going to change your team. Like Fabinho changed our team, or Virgil van Dijk changed our team, or Alisson Becker changed our team, or Mo Salah changed our team. I just don't think there's one out there at the moment. So I'm okay with Arne Slot going, do you know what, let's wait a year. Let's spend money somewhere else where we need to right now. So yeah, that's mine anyway. I'm sure I'm going to get loads of abuse in the comments, but like, I really truly believe if we go to a 2-man midfield, and I think that covers it up for me. I think if you stay 4-3-3, DM's the top priority. But if you go to a 4-2-3-1 between McAllister, between Kurt Jones, between Szoboszlai, between Endo, between Bajcetic, I think we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold if you want to throw him into the conversation. I think we've got enough players there that can muddle through this season. I don't see Liverpool winning the league this season. I really don't. I think Liverpool can improve. I hope Liverpool improve. But I do think it's now a multi-year plan before we get back to winning the league table. So if we can't do it this year, don't go and buy the wrong guy for 80 million quid just because you think you need a DM. Go and find the right guy. If it's not available now, wait. We did it before with Virgil van Dijk. So stay in order. What were yours? Do you remember?
Yeah, DM would be 1. Then
1.
First choice, yeah, DM.
You said centre back to me.
I didn't know I was in order when I sent it to you. Sorry, Paul. DM was 1.
Does everyone else know they're in order? Okay, so
I remind myself a man on my phone.
Defensive midfield is 1 because
you stuck with 4-3-3.
Yeah, and
that makes perfect sense to me.
And I half disagree with you in the fact that In fact, I fully disagree. I think I would be happy to buy someone who's better than Endo now, and even if the worldie isn't available, because the worldie might be available in a year or two's time. So I think you can do both. I think whoever you buy now could effectively become the squad player if the worldie comes in. I'd back Michael Edwards and them to actually find someone who's a worldie as well. It doesn't have to be someone who's obvious. Like it doesn't have to be like you go spend £150 million on whoever. So I think that's one. I've gone. I do think we need a centre back, and I think we need a right forward. And I'm splitting hairs on what's more important. I actually think probably I would put the right forward next, because if Salah gets injured, and that was the first time last season where he did properly get a proper injury, and he's in his 30s now, so maybe he isn't as indestructible as we all thought he was. I still don't think there's anyone in the squad who can play there other than Ben Doak, and he's way too young and way too raw. Everyone else is doing a job. Diaz is doing a job there, or Elliott's doing a job, or Szoboszlai's doing a job, or Gakpo's doing a job. They are not a right forward. I would like us to go and get one of them where you can pick and choose what you do with Mo Salah, and you've got covered if he's injured. It's been since he arrived really that everyone who's played there when he hasn't has just been filling in for a little bit. And actually, to be fair, AFCON's at Liverpool's record's been all right, but I am worried now that we're not going to be able to get 50 games of Mo Salah every season. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do. And to be honest, I think it's good to have an option if he's not playing well. I think for the first time last year, Jürgen started leaving out because of form reasons as well. And I felt harsh on Harvey Elliott because he's not a right winger anymore for me. So right wing's next. The centre back option is weird in that I'm actually very, very comfortable with Van Dijk, Kwanzaa, Konate. I'm fine with that, and I'm fine with Joe Gomez being number 4 if he has to be. But Konate's injury record worries me, and Kwanzaa will have a dip. It just is. It is what it is. You're going to have form things, and also we were lucky last season in a way that you could rest Virgil van Dijk midweek. He didn't have to play Europa League games because he's too good for that. We're in this Champions League and we're extended this Champions League thing now. You might have to look after Virgil as well. So there might be times where he's in and out, or he picks up an injury, God forbid he doesn't. So I do think you need another one. I saw like today, is it Anton from Germany was linked, who's 27. I think I could see Liverpool doing that kind of thing where they've got the experience of Virgil and they've got 2 really promising young lads, and they've got Gomez as the floater. I could see at the 4th choice being like a 25, 26, 27-year-old who might not be the worldie, but he's dependable if you need him. So I would go with that one. If you're making like the big splash signing, I don't think I'd do it at centre back, because I'd like to see Kwanzaa and Konate given that opportunity to show that they could be the worldie. But I do believe that you could get a DM in that range who could massively make a difference if they can find the right guy. Okay,
Chloe, what about you?
If I'm remembering correctly, I went centre half first. For all the reasons we've said. Look, I think Konate and Kwanzaa are sound options. I think Konate is not available for at least half the season. And throwing Kwanzaa in at the deep end, you know, we've saw what happened when Stefan Bajcetic did that, and I do not want the same to happen to Jarell Kwanzaa, because I feel like he's got such a future. I also would still love Andy Robbo, you know, but he is getting on now, and I think I would like someone who can do that hybrid of a left back / kind of centre half role, which might mean that, you know, you can sell Costas and get a bit of money for him that you can then reinvest. So I went with centre half first, just because also if Virgil van Dijk gets an injury, you're starting Jarell Kwanzaa and Konate as your 2 centre halves. No, that's fine. But when we're in 4 competitions, it's absolutely not okay, because who's coming in then? You know, you've got Reece Williams playing for the unders. It'd have to be him and someone else. And I wouldn't be starting Joe Gomez there, because he is my cover for me fullback specifically. You know, in terms of if Trent does move into midfield, then he's rotation with Conor Bradley. So I went with centre half. I then went with DM, if I remember correctly.
You did, yeah.
And the main reason is because the biggest upgrade is Wataru Endo. I'm so sorry. I like him. I think he seems so humble. He's a lovely lad.
He's nearly flipped that table over.
Sorry.
That he mentioned before.
Sorry. I just think if
Endo's winning the league and he's decided to remember.
To be fair, I enjoy your song and which he says he wins the league. But if the biggest room for improvement on a player would be Wataru Ende for me, so that's why I put DM there. I also, how many times have I said it, I think we're just far too easy to play through. And yes, Stefan Bajcetic, I put him in my team, and I hope he can reach the heights that we all think he can, but also he's been out for a large part of last season, and you just never know how players come back.
It'll take a few months regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And aside from that, I don't think you have an out-and-out like proper defensive player. Everyone's a little bit more attacking minded. So I went with DM, and then I went with right wing because ultimately, look, Salah will play next season a large part if he can stay fit, and he'll demand that happens. But Liverpool have got a decision to make, because if they offer him a contract and it's a 2-year contract or whatever, you've got to think ahead, because if Liverpool lose Mo Salah for free, that is a complete and utter joke from our football club. It just is that simple. You've got an 80 to 100 mil pound player there, and with people can hate FSG, people can hate it all, but it's the way we operate. And if the way we operate is to sell a big money player to then go and reinvest, that's what Liverpool will have to do, whether it's this summer, whether it's next summer or the summer after. The bid from Saudi will always be there for Mo Salah. So
unless you don't sign him on a new contract and he goes for free.
Yeah, which I can't let like. If Liverpool do that, I just think it's extremely stupid. So
Might not be their choice.
I know.
Well, that's why you got to sell him now. If that's the case.
That's the thing.
Which is shit.
That might not be his choice either.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But it is what it is. So yeah, I'm looking at a right winger who can come in, learn the ropes, be the understudy of Mo Salah, and then hopefully be absolutely incredible as well.
Okay, very interesting stuff. And Peter Kenny-Jones finally.
Yeah, I think I went for goalkeeper first.
You don't have to stick it in that order if you don't want to.
That's why I'm happy with that, yeah.
Okay.
You sound like you're not happy with that.
I was just giving you an out if you wanted to change your mind.
The only reason I'm assuming Kelleher is being sold, and that means that
I should put goal in, man.
that Adrian is just like not anywhere near.
I think he's going as well, is he?
He hasn't committed yet, has he? And for how many games Kelleher played last year, obviously Europa League goes away, but injuries for Alisson, I think that is the one weakness if we look at all our squad, where the drop off to the second choice.
It's not very sexy though, buying a backup goal.
Sorry,
number one transfer.
Well, a sexy goalkeeper
in a summer where you've got a new manager.
A sexy goalkeeper. Loris Karius was a sexy goalkeeper.
Yeah, get him back. It's fine.
Please don't.
No, please.
It's free. It's free and available.
No goal backup goalkeeper.
Newcastle didn't renew.
Goalie, is it goal? I don't know what is it, where like when you would play 5-a-side and it's
goal in and out.
Yeah.
When Ness.
I'd rather do that thing.
What do you call it?
I've heard Frenchies. What's that? I don't even know what that is.
Frenchies.
Is
that what people say to you? Come over here.
That's the sexy goalkeeper, yeah.
And you just go into the goal.
I thought that was like a type of bulldog that graft as well.
Anyway, goalkeeper. Yeah. And then the next one I said centre mid, where like in brackets defensive minded, but not necessarily a number 6. So like a Declan Rice in that. I don't think he's a defensive mid, but you can put him there. But he can get box to box centre mid. We already said it. I just assume that Slot's going to play too deep. I think we've got a lot of attack in there. Endo was going to win the league, but we need to some cover for him. So he's the other centre mid. And then I went for right winger, similar with Salah. And sorry to disagree, but
they agree.
They love it. They love it. They think it's time.
Yeah, so I think
Romania
Salah
2-0, by the way.
Well, there we go.
I think Salah not should go on a free, but if he goes on a free, I don't think it's bad at all, because what he's done for us, we don't need to make any money off him. We could, if we get a 5 back for him, that's more than we deserve, because he's done so much for Liverpool. I'm happy.
Are you talking about Salah?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Are you talking about Saudi, who just pay absolutely anything? I'm not bothered.
I'd rather him stay there for 2 years and leave, guard of honour, go wherever he wants, get double the wages he would have got by buying him off us.
Oh, you're such a bigger person.
I know. I am not.
Such a bigger person than me.
Most no, but I'm so sorry, mate. Life goes on after you leave Liverpool Football Club, and I need us to be in the best position.
I'd like 100 mil, but I had to stay 5 years and 100 mil after it. But I'm happy for him to have the send off he deserves and to see out his contract. Hopefully, another year extension.
Imagine what that send off would be like if we got 100 mil though. We're getting fireworks.
Yeah,
fireworks and flares.
But then it feels like you've sacked it off a bit. That's why I always do when they're getting sold.
He'll do his little speech, and it'll be like, it's all right, but don't worry, because I've got you at 100 mil, and you're going to sign the best right winger there is.
Yeah,
you know
I'll
what
be
I
made
mean?
up with that.
Well,
I need some sort of money for Mo Salah. He's
Stop being
world
so
class.
nice and thinking about things.
I love Mo
You know what's got
Salah.
loads of money? Our billionaire owners. Let's just
Yeah.
ask them for some
Well,
instead.
exactly.
Stop
We
being
shouldn't need the money we've saved and not having to buy another right winger for the last 10 years when he goes, hopefully, is the money that we've saved. But I understand your opinion, but yours is wrong and mine's right. Salah should get the centre off. And then another right winger to learn the ropes. And I agree with that point that you made, and that he should come through. And then, as you said, I think we need to start managing Salah's minutes maybe a bit more. And if he plays 70 minutes of every game rather than 90, you need that exciting young lad for the next 2 to 3 years, who then, as soon as Salah does go for 100 mil for free, he gets to be our main man. That was my choice. Centre back would be the fourth choice, but yeah, I went for that was my order.
Me goalkeeper's my fourth choice. Sorry, I'm going for all the fun up in here, and
Sorry.
absolutely not.
I had goalkeeper in mind, but it was obviously ousted if we could get a star defensive midfielder.
But also, can I just say, after you said, like, because you gave me starting 11 and was like, from now, if nothing happens. So when I was thinking about my signings, I was still thinking about Kelleher still being there, by the way, and Adrian.
Yeah, I'd keep Kiev. So that's what I'm doing. But you are right. If Liverpool sell him, that becomes a huge priority, obviously, because, well, they haven't got another one yet because Adrian hasn't signed the contract. It would be Yaros, Pitaluga, wouldn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, and Landers is supposed to be in for Yaros as well, which was interesting. I saw a little rumour about that one this morning. Okay, we'll move on then. Steve,
hello.
From the first team squad, who do you think is in for the biggest season? Not necessarily in terms of performance, but also like importance. So, as an example, I personally think that Darwin Núñez is in for a really big season. That doesn't mean that I think he's going to score 30 goals. But I mean, if he doesn't produce the numbers this season that we want, he might be out the door next season, for example. So there's loads of players that this could be. It's a hard question, but like Gravenberg could be one of those players that's in for a big season in terms of minutes. Elliott could be, because it might be the main man in that number 10 position. I'm trying to buy you a little bit of time.
No, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. I think it's a massive season for Ibu Konate.
Ooh,
because there's another lad there now who can take his place off him. He's always been battling for his place. It was always, when Matip goes, it's Ibu's position. And that was right, it should have been, because that's what it always was. And there was times actually where it was Ibu was keeping Matip out the side. But now the emergence of Jarell Kwanzaa, I think it's huge for Konate if he wants to play every game, that he's got to play well. Because there's an easy option where you can just go, right, well, you're out because I'm going to give this other lad a go. That's not really been the case. Especially if you're building for the future, you'd have said, if it's close, if it's a tie, we'll give Ibu those minutes because Joel Matip isn't here for the long term, for example, before there's injury, unfortunately.
I suppose the other thing with this is we've kind of gotten used to the way the Klopp manages his squad, in that he puts a lot of trust in players. Even if they are injury prone, he probably misplaced trust at times into players where fans will be like, just get fucking someone who's fit.
Yeah.
We don't know that Arne Slot's going to do that.
Yeah, by all accounts, is the injury records of the players touched with a final was actually they were really positive in the work they did with them. So you are right. I think for the first time for a while now, there's a world where in 3 years time Liverpool starting centre back isn't Ibu Konate, and I've never really ever felt that was going to be the case. But it's partly because of his injury record. Absolutely right. A little bit of the dip in form that we saw last season. I'm not going to read too much into it for now. But also the trust, I think, that we've seen in the first season of Jarell Kwanzaa, who went from being on loan at Bristol to being, the backup for the England squad, which, what a rise that's been. So I think it's huge for Konate if he wants to be the long-term answer. And listen, again, this is also because I think Virgil's going to hang around. I don't think Virgil's going anywhere. I think he'll sign a contract and it might be he's got another 3 seasons left in him or something. So it's not even like you can move Kwanzaa across and play both of them. So I think Konate's got his work cut out. I think he's up to the challenge. I think he is good enough, and I think he's mentally strong enough to do it. But his body's got to hold up. You're right. It's easy now for Arne Slot to go, he's just always injured, fuck him off. He wasn't my signing. I owe him nothing. He could do the same with Diogo Jota. He might be another one in this mix. Prove you can stay fit, because if you can't, it's not my problem. I'll go and find someone who can.
Absolutely. Chloe, what's yours?
Mine was Darwin Núñez, but I'll change it because you robbed that one.
Darwin Núñez isn't my pick.
Oh, isn't it?
I was just an example.
Okay, well, I feel like you've already mentioned Darwin Núñez now, though. So I feel
You can still have it,
So you don't think Darwin Núñez is going to be the most important?
Oh, I
season?
think it's absolutely
okay,
important.
so you picked Darwin Núñez.
So picking Darwin Núñez.
Okay, I'll stick with him then. I mean, my other was Sobber. I went for the backup because he said it.
This is
Well,
like
Sobber was fine.
I'll stick with Darwin then. I just think it's vital because obviously he came in for a really hefty price tag, and you feel like by now he should have properly settled in, but he goes through these highs and the boss, they're enjoyable, but the lows are so incredibly low. I think mentally he can get distracted in terms of like he listens to outside noise. It really affects him. He's just, it's mad because as a striker, I feel like your most important thing should be composure. And yet I look at Darwin Núñez and I just don't see it. And I don't know how you teach someone that. I really don't. So I think this is a massively important season for him, because if it doesn't work out, he can just blame Jurgen Klopp, and I think Jurgen Klopp would be fine with him doing that, to be perfectly honest.
You're too busy watching Taylor Swift concerts, so
as long as Darwin Núñez becomes boss for Liverpool, Jurgen will be like, I brought him in, so that's absolutely fine. But
Shades of Gerard Houlier's European Championship winning side. But
if he doesn't start doing it under another manager, then I don't know how you can have an £80 million player sat on your bench. If he doesn't make the starting 11, he's going to get angry. You can see, like, with all the Instagram stuff and that, like, it's just, things get to him a lot, and he plays brilliantly when he's in form and he's got confidence. But
it looks like he's got that at the moment. I think he got a hat-trick the other day, didn't he, for Uruguay?
That's what he needs. He needs Marcelo Bielsa. That's what he needs.
I mean, his second goal, he tried really, really hard to miss the target from a yard out. But for me, it's just, he is supposed to be a star player. He's one of them who you build your squad around for the future. And I think a lot of people are running out of patience with him, and I'm not sure how long he has to have another performance, a season like that.
The fans might turn. And I hate when that happens. And Liverpool fans very, very rarely turn on players. But he's the type of player I could see heads falling off at if he has another season like where he just, again,
it's a shame because he had a really good season. Yeah. And yet he was still the most frustrating player for me out of anyone in the squad.
If I had the hair, I'd be ripping it out. Yeah. I'd be flipping that table like Peter sometimes.
Endo?
No, because that's a set. He's going to be why was Harvey Elliott? I thought I was surprised no one else said it. And just that, what you said before, I think this is his time. I think he's already proven he's a first team player, but whether he's a first 11 every week player, and I think he's done enough to prove that. I think the only time I ever get annoyed at him is when he's right wing and he doesn't look quick enough, but that again, I don't think that's his fault either. So yeah, I think if he plays the 4-2-3-1 at that position right in front of the front three, could be perfect for him. He's already shown us he can play deeper in part of a three in midfield. So yeah, I'm excited really to see him. And as I said before, with maybe this time last year would have been Curtis Jones, so he can go and kick on, and Elliott's already gone past what Jones has done. And that's nothing against Jones, but I think Elliott's just been more consistent. So yeah, this is his season to go and prove to everyone that he can be our main man. And obviously, a boyhood Red and all that stuff, he clearly loves it. He's always the last one off the pitch clapping the fans, and all stuff like that does mean a lot when you're there, and he deserves to have a good season, and hopefully he can become the poster boy of this team. You know, there's some big players who are getting older, as we said, and this could be the Harvey Elliott's team in 3-4 years time, and fingers crossed it is.
Okay, mine is actually Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know we've done a lot of the show on him, but I think at 25 years old we probably need to stop talking about where his position is. I think he needs to have a position come the end of this season, be that at right back, be that at centre mid, whatever the manager decides.
In Madrid.
Well, no, I think that's obviously a thing, but like, at 25 years old, you want to be playing in your position, know what your position is. I think this debate just needs to be put to bed, and we should just concentrate on watching him develop and become the player that we know and think that he can be. So yeah, I think all good answers there, to be honest with you. Surprising shouts or little shouts that could have happened would have been Gravenberch. I think it's going to be a big season for him. I
think Curtis Jones, you just mentioned him. It made me how does he get into the squad? Like, because if he plays on that left-hand side of the 8, which, well, you're not taking McAllister's place, so you're going to have to try and take, you know, Lautaro Endo in your squad. But Stefan Bajcetic or Sobbo, or if Sobbo does play, you know, that 8, which he can do, it's whether he needs to start, like, he was brilliant at the start of last season, but it's getting that bit of luck where you get in the team and then solidifying it. I think he's a boss player, but it's whether you take the chance when the chance comes to you.
Can I throw Jota as one? Just yeah. Because he's at the point where he could do heads in as well. Not because we played.
The injuries.
Yeah. It got a little bit storagey. It's not been that bad yet.
What?
But like the storage line a bit where like, everyone was like, even, you know, Naby Keita got towards the end, it's like, oh my god, he's injured again. Like at the moment, everyone's
like, kids got it from the start.
Yeah. But everyone's always like,
that's because we had a year of watching him be brilliant for Leipzig
on a first class flight to pre-season.
Everyone's always like, oh, if just Jota can stay fit, and it hasn't quite turned to, for God's sake, Jota's injured again, because I mentioned all those players. They got
because he scores when he comes back.
Oh
my God, Jota, we missed you so much.
So the storage, but then eventually it wears out. So I think, and listen, I think some of this might be good how aggressive he is and how he plays, and it's a compliment to him. But like, I wonder if Arne Slot might say, just calm down, mate. Don't fly into all these 50-50s and get your legs smacked by.
Well, Salah never goes in 50-50, does he? And he never gets injured.
Yeah, it might be something like you might have to do something with. But he's another one I think he just needs. He should be one of the best players. He could win the Golden Boot. Jota.
Yeah. Can't.
Because he can't stay fit.
Exactly.
If that's my point. If he can get to a point where he can, then he can. That's how.
Broke stay. We all know this.
Yeah, true.
I was going to say Sobbo is my alternative player, just because I don't know whether he plays an 8 or whether he plays a 10 in the system. And look, he's got loads of time, so it's not for that reason. It's more for the fact of he was 70 mil, weren't he? He's the captain of Hungary. He clearly wants to play all these games. I think some of the comments that he made were taken out of context the other day.
I hope they were taken out of context.
Saving legs.
I was quite happy to sit on the bench because I was safe for the Euros, and I'm like,
don't be saying that.
Don't be saying that, you know, help yourself. But I just feel like a bit similar to Curtis Jones is that he's got to fight for his position again. And if Harvey Elliott's playing in the form that he was last season in that number 10 role, which I hope we play 4-2-3-1 just because I want to see a little something different, then Sobbo's going to have to work to get in that. He can't have he was great for the first 2 months and then non-existent for the rest of the season. You can't do that at Liverpool. So I think it's a big season for him, but you know, he's a brand new signing. He's got loads of time on his side. With the likes of Curtis Jones, people already hate that lad for some reason. They've hated him ever since he came into the side. People doubt Curtis Jones more than they doubt Sobbo. So I feel like there's less leeway from fans for Curtis.
Absolutely. Okay, well, there you go. That's been the podcast for this week. We've got loads coming up on the channel. We've got Deep Dive on YouTube and Plus tomorrow. We've got the Rumour Rater with Chloe Bloxham on Wednesday. We've got Journo Insight with Paul Gorst as well from Ste. On Friday, we got the Liverpool Transfer Podcast, a brand new podcast that we've started last week, hosted by Ste. Who's on the show with you this week?
Not me. It's Dan and Chloe.
Oh, damn it.
I'm an oldie, Chris.
You're not on holiday. What are you doing with holidays?
It's my wife's birthday, taking her away, being a great husband.
Fuck her.
Oh dear Christ.
End
the show. No.
My mum watches this. So yeah.
I just think you got here.
No, it's true. No, Chris! No.
Sorry. People don't like to talk about it.
No, end the show.
It's a fact of life.
Okay, thanks.
You're doing so well.
What do you call those?
No, Chris.
No. Thank you so much for watching. It's been delightful. We'll see you again next Monday. Bye-bye.